I am PrimeTime Moff, and I am joined this week, as always, by my wonderful co-host, Oddimus Prime. Now, whether you're watching us or indeed perhaps you're listening to us, we welcome you to our weekly show, Transformers 84 to 24, 20, 40 years of rolling out. A show that in the year of the brand's 40th anniversary, we are taking the time to look back in detail and delve through the vast history of Transformers. So if you're new to the show, we are covering each year of the franchise its own weekly episodes with special episodes throughout the year where maybe, we've had special ones where we've had guest interviews on, and we'll maybe have a special TFN one. Who knows? So please like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications to ensure you don't miss anything in this incredible journey. Simon, how are you?
I'm doing good, Moff. I'm doing good. Yes.
I don't know why I shouted that, but I was just excited to see you.
It's always exciting. Always.
And this is a year I think we're both kind of looking forward to as we move. We're in the 2000s now, we've passed Y2K, the world didn't end. Transformers didn't end, certainly not. And we're now into 2001 and the kind of change. And the big one, I suppose, this year really has to be on something that we never touched on when it was the Japanese version. And we were very honest about that. We never touched on car robots. We've kind of cheated a wee bit of something in today's we're going to cheat on. But we're talking this week really about robots in disguise. Now, I'm going to check. My history could be kind of wrong here, but let's give it a bash. My understanding of it was that post Beast Machines, there was the desire to do, was it Transtech? Is that right? That the one they were going to do. We're going to do Transtech, and then when that kind of fell through, they needed something short term that they could fit in to get into their next line, and they brought over car robots from Japan and rebranded it as Robots in Disguise, and Robots in Disguise feels like a cartoon that does not get a cartoon or franchise part of the franchise that does not get the love it deserves. It's almost forgotten about from the vast majority of fandom. I think it's also confusing that now have a second cartoon called Robots in Disguise, which makes it even more confusing, especially when you're trying to search things on eBay. So so the weird bit, I look back at Robots in Disguise and I feel that Robots in Disguise is a little bit like what Legacy is now. Robots in Disguise is almost like a best of series because it's very much a series that pulls from other aspects or from the, what was that, 2001, from the 16 years that we'd already had, 17 years we'd already had, pulls some of the cracking toys into a new bit as well as new molds. So tell me, let's focus on the cartoon first. What's your first memory of the cartoon?
I remember, I remember watching the first sort of few episodes. I honestly can't remember how I saw them. Maybe they were on like Toonami or something. I can't actually remember how they were shown over here. But I was at uni at the time. I remember seeing like the first few. I don't actually think I saw two. There's a bit of a running theme here with me not actually having watched half the shows. Really should fix that. But yeah, as far as the show goes, I watched the first few. I thought it was really good. I meant to get on with watching more, but it's very Japanese. is a really sort of so you've got your sort of female characters that are all very anime-esque, well, because it was an anime, and the show itself, the story was a bit, it's a weird thing because it doesn't really fit anywhere else, and it's got a slightly odd sort of storyline to it that's a bit, it was a bit harder to get into, I think, when I first sort of tried to watch it. But yeah, for me, I was less about the show and definitely more about the toys. What about you?
Yeah, I think certainly I remember the toys before I got the show. I don't remember watching it when it was on normal kind telly, my first memory of getting the show was I was able to get a kind of a VCD, which is a bizarre small. A lot of people had VCDs, or just such a small period of time that VCDs were available, really. But I remember getting them on VCD, and then kind of binging through them. Probably 2002, I think it was, when I went back to uni after a year's work placement. So about 2002, and I enjoyed the cartoon, but I enjoyed the cartoon because I could then I already had the kind of toys, and I kind of, with that point I wanted to go, oh, like, you know, I want to see how Optimus and Ultra Magnus work together in this show, and it's it's not the best show, but it's certainly not the worst by any stretch of the
Oh no.
imagination. And for me, we'll get onto the toys, and we'll get onto my favorite toy of the year at some point. But um, for me, being able to see a version of kind of Fort Max and a proper decent amount of episodes, and you're seeing crazy things like Ruination, which when you're watching the cartoon, you're like this G1 mixed with new stuff, and there's a bit of Beast Wars in there. It just, I can understand why people found it jarring,
Mm.
but I also look and go, surely you just have to appreciate it for the craziness and wonderfulness. And I think we also can't talk about the show without raising a glass and remembering Peter Spellos for the absolute wonderful character was Skybite. A character that I don't remember that people being very fond of at the very beginning, but I think as we've went through this, one big thing that I have become very aware of is, at the time, things aren't appreciated for what they are because people are wanting them to be X, Y, or Z. But then, looking back now, you don't need them to be. You don't need your Optimus Prime to be an Optimus Prime that you expect it to be. You can allow it to be a fire truck for a change. We can have a singing shark. We can have all these things, and we can be much more appreciative of them in latter times. And I think Skybite has that. I also think that Peter Spellos being such a wonderful human being,
Yeah.
I very much had a great admiration for him and respect for him for the way I always talk about how one of the big values I have is how people deal with my children and how they interact with them. And Peter Spellos is one of the most genuine people. Remembered their names. He saw Jamie twice at Auto Assembly and NTFN, and we only shown once, but he named throughout the weekend and kept saying hello to him and asking how he was and how he's enjoying it. And I just always think, what a man, what a lovely human. And I had made, back then, I was making hats and stuff, and I gave him a hat with Skybite on it. And he sent me a lovely message after the convention. So I think that's where I have even more love and affection for the character, for the show, because you then get to know the people involved. But it's a wonderfully weird show,
Yeah.
and as a premise, if you had, it's interesting when you and I have obviously said there, we kind of went with the toys first and then into it. I think if you went into the show first without knowing the toys, you'd be like, what is going on? What is this Megatron? Megatron is
Shit.
wacky. Talk about, at some point I've got an idea to talk about alt modes and different versions of characters. What a weird and wacky way Megatron is a hand. But the show in itself, it has a kind of premise. It's got a decent number of episodes. It's got a decent run. It does push some stories through. It's not a episodic, like G1 was very much like, for the vast majority, was here's how we sell a new toy. This doesn't even have that. It does have loads of silly bits, loads of fun bits. Sideburns obsession with other cars, like just some fun bits in it, but there's also some continual story. Characters are developed. We see something that starts in Beast Wars and then becomes a big part, especially in Unicron trilogy, is the character getting a new mold or a new body. We saw that through Beast Wars, and then in this one you're seeing like the Car Brothers getting the supercharged versions of them. I think that's a kind of fun, interesting aspect of the show as well, that it develops that forward. But yeah, I think that the show doesn't get the love it deserves. I think people should give it a rewatch because I think it holds up a lot better than people remember. But let's talk about the important part of this line, which was the wonderful toy line. So before we do that, I suppose we better actually we'll close off Beast Machines, because Beast Machines had a final wave. So give me 1 second and we'll share the screen. So now we've got up the Beast Machines. So I'm just going to quickly go through these because there's nothing spectacular exciting about it. The only thing I'd say really is that the Rat Trap in this is probably the best version of Rat Trap. Optimus Prime is probably the best version of Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
Rat Trap's too big, right? Just put it
Ridiculous.
Rat Trap's decent size, a decent toy, other than being too big. But Beast Machines goes out with a whimper. It's not incredible. I think the tank drone and the motorcycle drone are quite well thought of, because I think they're the kind of best versions of those kind of more the drone aspects of them. But I had totally switched off by this point. Again, I enjoyed the Beast Machine show, but the toys just did not click for me. Any kind of standouts in this bit for you?
I mean, yeah, I loved the Rat Trap. I remember buying that. It's ridiculously large, but we've had this conversation about Beast Machine stuff before. The scale is bonkers. And yeah, he was a fun, complicated, but he had 3 decent, solid modes. And that was really good. Striker's another pretty cool toy as well. But yeah, other than that, it's nice to have the motorcycle drone, the tank drone as sort of army builders, and yay, another Cheetor for some reason, and repaints, and that's and Battle Unicorn, because not enough unicorns in Transformers apparently. It is what it is. It was the last dregs of a not particularly well loved, I think, by Hasbro brand. They didn't really ever take to it. But that Blast Punch Optimus Primal is the only Optimus Primal mold I don't own. I need to get it.
As a lot of people speak highly of it, it's one that I would probably be quite happy to pick up myself at some point as well, because I have heard good things about it.
Yeah.
But let's move on. Let's get on to Robots in Disguise. Let's properly get into the good toys of this year.
Woohoo!
So, and well, let's start with the combiners. And 3 different combiners, like, really kicking you off high. And the really interesting bit is it's 3 totally different style combiners as well.
Yeah.
So obviously we've got Ruination, which is a repaint of Bruticus, which I personally think is the best of the Scramble City combiners. I think it's a cracking toy. I think it's portions are really good. I think it's a really solid bot. And then in these colors, Armorhide's a beautiful color. I think it's a really good retake on that. And then there's Landfill. Like, Landfill is just crazy good. Such a clever combination, such a clever, simple and fun combination as well. Really ingenious how they did it. And then a toy that I only experienced for the first time last year, Rail Racer. And that is a toy that I coveted for a long period of time, always wanted to pick up. Was always on my list, but I always go to the kind of TFN stuff with a list of, if I see this, I'd like to grab it. But the list's usually huge, as in, these are stuff I don't have. More as a try not to buy things you already have, because I've done that before, rather than that I need to pick this up. But Rail Racer had always kind of been on that list, and then I managed to pick one up. Not a great quality one, but not a great slightly discoloured one from Toy Fu, but I was determined that I wanted to experience it, and it has made me want a really nice version of it, even more so. And again, a totally different style of combiner. Three so different, but 3 such clever sets of toys. What's your take on these combiners?
Landfill, I have never actually played with. I know.
Rectify that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'll be my Talking Robots Tuesday figure this week, I think.
And listen, it is very much one of those ones I tell people, and I've told people many times, this is something you will not be disappointed with. It's fun. It takes you back to the simplicity of how Transformers should be in aspects. It's got posability, and then it's just got some really clever engineering in it. It's a great toy.
Yeah, I think I didn't out of this page here, I did not own a single one of those. I think I got Mega Octane and Armor Hide a little bit later on, but I didn't have the whole combiner for them. I think this period I was a little bit not buying so much and sort of just buying things I really, really wanted. When we get to Armada, that's a completely different kettle of fish. But in this particular year, looking at all the toys that came out, I was like, I didn't buy any of those. And it's not because they weren't great toys. The train bots, I always wanted to have the combiner, the full three, and I only ever saw like one of them in the shop at the time. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
if I can't get all three, I'm not going to bother.
Uh,
And it was pretty much the same with Landfill. I think the only ones I ever saw in the shops were Wedge and Grimlock. I don't think I
um,
ever saw Hightower in the shop.
well,
But
I
yeah,
didn't. I didn't have Rail Racer, but I had the rest of them, and I got them all for shops. And I probably was more like what you're saying. You were with Armada. I was that with the Robots Disguise. I was just
mm,
so glad to have the kind of car stuff back to stuff like I
yeah,
like vehicle stuff. I just went all in on the Robots Disguise line.
yeah,
And I don't think there was a toy that disappoints in it. And you
no.
know, we might change our mind with that, but I think from overall from the kind of stuff that I had, I was always like these are just great toys.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they
some
are
absolutely
really.
clever bits.
Yeah, there's some absolute crackers there, and again, as you say, it's the weird eclectic mix of G1 stuff, Beast Wars stuff, new stuff, and again with the train bots, it's something that's very quintessentially Japanese Transformers.
Oh yeah,
Is
yeah,
is
bullet trains
any
especially.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Anytime you get trains and stuff involved, it's never one that's been designed in the Western
No.
sphere. It's always the other way. Shall we have a look at the next page? Now, this is a
Yes,
little bit
yes,
easier for me to go through.
yes.
Um,
I I look at this and it just makes me smile. Like a page of joy.
yeah,
Um, I didn't have. I'll be honest, I didn't have Bruticus,
no,
Skidsy, Windshear, Tolly, and Skiffer because I never saw them.
no,
Everything I saw, I picked up. Um, that's not strictly true. I never actually picked up Gas, Skunk, Darkstream, and is it
Slapper,
Slammer?
Slapper,
Slapper
yeah,
because I had the Beast Wars version. Slapper kind of like I don't really buy the same bits on. I did buy Skybite because I just love sharks. To be fair, like I do absolutely love sharks, so I kind of broke it over shark for Skybite. But Sideburn, Fowl, and X-Brawn, what beautiful and wonderful toys! Like
yes,
absolutely stunning. You are talking. These toys are now 23 years old. That's frightening. 23 years old. And I've just focused on Sideburn first. That that alt mode is stunning now.
yeah,
You pick up and you look at that and you go, that is incredible. And it's not as if some of the G1 stuff is beautiful. Like you go back to Sideswipe and Sunstreaker, two absolutely gorgeous Lamborghini Countachs, look beautiful in their alt mode. Yeah, but like all G1 had a challenge with its robot modes. These actually have really posable alt modes, robot modes, but equally have absolutely stunning alt modes at the same time.
yeah.
All three. X-Brawn's weird. Like,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
call a spade a spade. X-Brawn's weird, but weird isn't always bad. And actually, I think the cartoon made me love him even more. He was in my head when I got him. He was the weakest of the three. Prowl's a Lamborghini, like it's awesome. Sideburns a Dodge, awesome. Um, X-Brawn's like, I'm not really a big pickup, 4x4 kind of fan, blah blah blah. And then see the character, and I'm like, yes, it's kind of fun. But all three are just
Yeah.
gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous vehicles.
I picked up X-Brawn and Sideburn almost immediately, and I didn't get Prowl for either I didn't see him or I didn't have the money when I did see him. I was sort of last dregs of uni at this point, so I was supremely skint.
Mhm.
Uh, and yeah, so I got Prowl a bit later. I've always and it might be sort of a weird, slightly optical illusion, but I've always thought his back end was too wide.
Yeah, I can
It's
see
sort
what
of
you mean.
wedge
Yeah.
shaped a little bit. But anyway, that's by the by. I didn't pick up Skybite because I had Cybershark, and he was exactly the same. And at this point, I was not buying repaints. And as you said, Bruticus I never bothered with, or again, I don't think I saw it. And Skidsy and Windshear and Towline and Skyfire, I don't think I ever saw in the shops. I
No.
absolutely love the color scheme for Towline. He just looks like the Mystery Machine.
It does. 100% does.
It's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
And the 3-pack with the Predacons again. I don't think I ever saw it in the shops. It might have been in a comic shop somewhere. So let's go to the other ones.
Now, this is where do we go super first or ultra first? Because all these are just gorgeous. So let's go. Let's do Optimus Prime.
Okay.
Because Optimus Prime just oh
It's yeah, I remember seeing it online when first sort of Transformery websites. Well, I started to find out about them, and I was seeing pictures of it, and I was like, "That is amazing. I need that in my life." And then when it came out in the shops over here, I got it really, really quickly. Um, it's just gorgeous. It's got
yes.
a really solid, lovely looking alt mode. It's got a really great normal robot mode, and then it's got a super mode that is just almost it's difficult to beat. It's awesomely
Yes.
posable. It looks incredible.
Well, the
Um
super mode isn't that posable, but
no,
it's imposing. It's
yeah.
imposing as heck and
I mean, it's
gorgeous.
still more posable than some previous versions of Optimus Prime.
No, that's true.
The
That's true.
actual combined Ultra Magnus and Optimus
Oh
Prime is not posable at all.
no.
But
But
yeah.
again, stunning. Like
Oh, gorgeous! Yeah,
absolutely gorgeous. And just the colours on it. And this is the first proper real Optimus Prime, because Optimus Prime we can count as being separate. Optimus Prime that doesn't kind of fit in the norms of trucks, and he goes a fire engine. And actually, I really like him as a fire engine. I think it works really well. I think the concept of him, when it does do what it does, is brilliant. So I really like that. Ultra Magnus, like two big ass truck kind of uh, alt modes that kind of look really good side by side, like really, really nice. I've got both of them boxed.
yeah,
I picked up from Space Bridge last year. I didn't even want them boxed. I wanted to get newer versions because my originals hadn't kind of stood the test of time. My Ultra Magnus wheels had disintegrated pretty much, and through 2 or 3 moves I'd lost bits of. Cause I still always have them combined in a Mega Prime, and I kind of wanted then to have them as Optimus and Ultra Magnus. I couldn't do that because I was missing bits. I thought, I'm just gonna buy new ones, and
yeah.
then I got boxed ones, and I was like, oh, but they're boxed, so
Yeah, I mean I mean I've got Optimus here. This is my second or third one. I picked him up purely because my original one is combined as the with Omega Prime. And it's old, and Ultra Magnus is absolutely awful looking because he's so yellowed,
yeah.
which is obviously an issue. So I will need to pick up another Ultra Magnus at some point. And yeah, although that said, there's the HasLab one coming this next year,
That
and it's so nice.
so what's that? What was that? Was the fourth HasLab? It was the only one I backed. I did back Unicron. I did back Unicron more. We were moving house at the time, so I think I murdered had I suggested that instead of saving money for furniture, I bought a Unicron. I did eventually get one. And then the same with Star Saber and the Saurus. Neither were
Yeah,
like I need to own this. I was like and then I've managed to pick both of them up post them being out, but I didn't have that excitement.
yeah.
A Mega Prime was the opposite. Literally, the second that it was up, I backed it because I was like, I want this in my life, and I found it really hard not to buy a second copy. I'll be honest. if I get the offered, I get the joy through PrimeTime that we get some kind of offers of people trading in and stuff, and it's allowed me to get stuff that I wouldn't normally have got. If an opportunity comes up to buy a second, I think I would do it. I think
Yeah.
I'll be honest. If it comes up, I would do it just to have then the separate modes, because I can't wait. I'm so excited because I haven't had that experience that everybody else had with, if it's back to these previous ones, where
Yeah.
everybody's getting at the same time and excitement. I've watched everybody's pictures, and then Star Saber, I was like 6, 7 months before I got one. Death Saurus, I was only 2 or 3 months, but still wasn't the same. The idea that I'll be sitting there waiting for this to deliver, that'll be fun. That'll be fun. And I hope it leads to more. I know we've got a Sideburn coming. I hope it leads to more RID. And we've also had Towline. I'd like more RID.
Yeah.
Was it Thrilling 30 that did the Skybite? Was it as far back as that?
Yeah, I think so.
Generations,
Yeah.
maybe. So whatever the previous one, again, beautiful. I have 3 copies of that toy. I didn't intend to have to end up with her, but I have a box one side by Peter Spellos because it
Yeah.
just looks beautiful. And then we go on to the crazy, wonderful
Megatron. It's just
Megatron. Yeah, I love it.
it's absolute bonkers mentalness. I mean, a 6 mode transformer. I was slightly reticent to get it at first. I remember picking it up. There used to be a comic shop in Blue Water Shopping Centre just across the way from where I worked. And they had it on the shelf, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to buy this now. It's just the robot mode is chef's kiss, bonkers, wonderful Japanese amazingness.
Nice.
And then the two-headed dragon mode is probably the only other one I would ever actually display it in, because all of the other modes were weird.
Who's displaying it in hand mode? Like, unless you've got all of them, who's displaying it in hand mode?
Yeah.
So, and then it's Galvatron. If I'm right, and I could be wrong, Galvatron has a 7th mode.
He does.
I'm sure Galvatron's not a repaint.
This...
He's not a repaint of the Megatron. He's a repaint of the Japanese, which has a 7th mode.
Yeah,
but I don't, like you. I don't remember what it is.
I
never had it. Never had it. I would pick it up. I certainly would pick it up. But I never had it at the time.
Yeah. There we go. There's just pictures of more pictures of Prime.
Look at them.
They're just super gorgeous. Yeah. They are absolutely wonderful. And I think actually the next one is Megatron in all 6 glorious modes. Bat, car, spaceship, dragon, robot, and claw.
Claw. It's just like, what?
It's yeah.
And it's still got the same gimmick that the Transmetals kind of end of Transmetals and Transmetal 2 had with the spark crystal. Is it not a spark? Is it a spark crystal? Is that the
I think it's a spark crystal.
I'm sure they call it a spark crystal in this, but they didn't call it a spark crystal in Beast Wars. I could be wrong, but
it's only the Predacons, I think, have that. Was it the
no, I think it's only Predacons. I'm actually trying to think, did the Autobots have I don't think the Autobots had a rub sign, mind you. I'm just trying to think they had a gimmicky. No, I don't think they did. But I could be wrong. We've been wrong with previous bits of rub signs.
We're often wrong. Right, we're going to speed this along, unfortunately, because
that's all right.
You're in charge.
So, let's go then. Let's kind of wrap it up by thinking about what are our favourite picks of the year. Now, are you first or am I first?
I think you're first.
First, right. So this is where we've cheated. We've cheated because we've picked a Car Robots toy because it didn't get a Western release, but it, hands down, is my favourite Robots in Disguise toy. And it is the incredible, and it goes back to the comment of this is like a best of series where they've taken the best of previous lines and brought them in. So they've brought in some great Beast Wars, brought in some brand new molds. Like, that's what we talk about. People forget that Megatron was a brand new mold. It wasn't a repaint. It looks like it should be a repainted Beast Wars, but it was a brand new mold. You know, but then you have, or you had, if you were in non-Western countries, you have Brave Max, an absolute stunning, which also looks like G2 version of Fortress Maximus.
Yeah.
Like it screams G2. It screams all that wacky, wonderful coloring. This was the first way I had this mold, and the irony was I got it just before they announced the Encore. So I'd waited all these years to get this mold. Gave up with the aspect, the dream of getting a Fort Max, and went, you know what? I'm going to just bite the bullet. A Brave Max popped up at a very reasonable price on eBay, and I think they were very reasonable back then. Like, yeah, I'm talking like £100, not much in it. Because I wouldn't have spent a lot more than that back in the day. Picked this up and I had it for a very short period of time, and then announced Encore Fort Max. But I still had the same joy with Encore Fort Max that I did with this. This toy, its size, it is just an incredibly fun thing, and the colours on this. You know, the colours on, I'm looking at the side of me, you don't really see it in this picture, but the kind of green on
Oh, it's amazing.
his left chest, the kind of compartment, is just stunning, a luminous green. It's just beautiful. What an absolute stunning toy. And I don't, I see you have picked, in my opinion, the best G1 toy, and then you've given them all wacky, weird, wonderful colouring. And the frustration I always have with all Fort Max toys we've had, whether it be third party, whether it be official toys since, is we've never seen all three colour variants. You know, you've seen, you know, the Titans Return got a Generation Select Brave Max recolor. Why didn't
Yeah.
we get one of these? Like, and there's a little bit of me, just a little bit of me believes that there's a chance that next year, to coincide with a Mega Prime landing, they could do Titans Return Fort Max, which is getting a reissue this year.
Mm.
They could do that mold and these colorings to do another focus on RID. This would be a beautiful complementary Titan to go with that Mega Prime dropping, and I would piss my pants with it. I'll be honest. Sheer excitement. That was my favourite to pick up last year, was the Generations Brave Max, Grand Max. Sorry, if I could have, because I'm never going to buy the original Grand Max. So I've not got anything of the three of the mold in three colors, because the only one was G1. I did a custom of the Toy Worlds Infinitor into this colorings, but I would love a Generations toy of this. So this is easily my favorite toy of the line and of the year. And then we'll move on to yours.
I
And
mean,
the
it's
most shocking of all, it's actually Skybite, isn't it? Let's be honest.
no, it's Optimus Prime. Um,
It's the Optimus
yeah,
of the year.
the very good thing about this is I don't need to say anything else because I've already said it all. So yeah, Optimus Prime. I couldn't. I did contemplate going a different way. I remembered how much I enjoyed X-Brawn's gigantic fist, and thought I might go for that. And then that's such a weird
Yeah,
thing. His entire bonnet is his arm. There's a giant fist out the. That's amazing. Who I would have picked if I hadn't gone, but I can't not. It's glorious. It's absolutely glorious.
And that's the joy of this year and this line, and this is why I always look fondly, is you could pick this, you could pick Megatron, you could pick Ultra Magnus, you could pick Sideburn, you could pick Brave Max, and you're not wrong.
No.
Like, you're genuinely not wrong, because they're all top tier toys.
Yes. Right. Need to wrap this up.
Yeah. So, a joyous time to walk back through. I really enjoyed that talk, and I know we've still got some more RID toys to talk about next week, which will be good fun as well. But thank you all for joining us this week as we have walked through Robots in Disguise. We hope you've enjoyed it. Please remember to like, subscribe, turn on your notifications, make sure you keep on top of all of our content. As I say, we've got lots of exciting content coming up. And we'll be doing some TFN special videos and the build up to TFN as well. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. And from me, thank you very much. Simon, thank you so much for joining me again this week.
No worries.
Take, Take care, all. See you soon.
Bye.